happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Caught in the very same downpour, one person perceives only the gloom of a drenched day, while another hears within that steady pitter-patter a tranquil stillness that soothes the soul. Confronted with the same failure, one may hastily dismiss it as the boundary of their capability, while another cherishes it as a silent lesson steadily sculpting their resilience. The true difference lies not in the storms raging outside, but stems from the depth and caliber of the thoughts dwelling within us. The human mind is akin to a garden. If we carelessly sow seeds of doubt, resentment, envy, and despair, weeds will soon overrun the soil, suffocating the way we perceive the world. In that state, life's wonders fade into obscurity, while everyday obstacles swell into insurmountable fortress walls. Conversely, if we diligently cultivate gratitude, hope, and courage, that fertile soil will burst into bloom. It is not that life has suddenly grown gentler, but rather that you have forged a keener vision and a steadier poise to behold the world. The peril is that we so often dismiss fleeting thoughts as harmless. In truth, what is repeatedly harbored in the mind crystallizes into belief. Belief shapes attitude. Attitude guides conduct. And that tapestry of actions weaves an entire destiny. A ripple of negative thought may only spark for a second, yet, if nourished daily, it will forge an invisible cage imprisoning your very potential. Mastering the mind does not mean clinging to the illusion of a world painted purely in rosy hues. It is the courage to gaze unflinchingly into adversity, yet steadfastly refuse to let adversity define your self-worth. You have the right to acknowledge that today was an ordeal, but never forfeit your faith in tomorrow's sunrise. You may stumble, but never brand yourself as defeated. Authentic happiness is not the endless quest for a sky free of tempests, but the mastery of building a steadfast sanctuary right in the eye of the storm. That inner refuge is built day by day, through every thought to which you choose to entrust your faith. When the inner light burns bright enough, no shadowed path ahead can ever make you falter. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Dale Carnegie. Failure often strikes like a cold, slamming door, leaving us disoriented and convinced that our way is lost. Yet that door shuts not to bar our journey, but to compel us to pause, reflect in quietude, and truly mature. The greatest tragedy after a fall is not the price paid, but walking away without carrying any lesson forward. For defeat harbors profound truths that the blinding glare of victory seldom illuminates. We are captivated by triumph because it brings adulation, yet that very sweetness can lull our awareness to sleep. In contrast, failure strips away all illusions of transient luck and competence, anchoring us back to reality. It acts as a harsh, yet impeccably honest mirror, offering no honeyed words we yearn to hear, but reflecting the exact voids we must strive to fill. Discouragement carries a similar mission. It is the moment you have poured out your entire soul, only to be met with a hollow zero. Haunting questions begin to claw at you. Am I good enough? Is this path a mistake? This is the defining threshold between a soul that surrenders and a spirit poised to rise. Discouragement is no verdict of helplessness. It is the sign that you have journeyed far enough to graze your old boundaries, ready to break through and expand your horizons. Like a mountaineer traversing rugged peaks, each painful slip teaches him to root his grip into the rock face. Each sheer incline tempers his breath and endurance. Each detour reminds him that strategic adaptability never means abandoning the summit. After countless trials, the one who reaches the crest does not merely gaze upon a majestic panorama, but has transformed into a far more formidable version of himself. Failure, therefore, is not a separating chasm, but the sturdiest of stairways. The gulf between the victor and the quitter ultimately boils down not to innate talent, but to a simple yet courageous choice. Having fallen, are you willing to rise once more? Move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you are willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new. Brian, Tracy. The comfort zone is a gentle cradle, yet it is also a velvet cage that confines growth in the sweetest manner. Within its confines, all is controlled, tranquil, and predictable, shielding the mind from the bracing dread of failure. Yet, prolonged ease gradually dulls the blade of ambition, transforming contentment into stagnant inertia. True advancement invariably begins with experiences that are far from comfortable. The first time standing before a crowd with trembling hands, the first awkward attempt at an unfamiliar craft, or the initial step toward an aspiration clouded in uncertainty and doubt. Such awkward feelings by no means brand you as inept. Rather, they are living proof that your horizons are stretching and your soul is truly expanding. Just as muscles grow resilient only through strain and micro-tears under relentless weight, our inner fortitude can never mature through unending, effortless calm. The greatest hurdle imprisoning us is often the illusion, I must wait until I am confident before I begin. Yet, the fundamental law of life is precisely the reverse. You must dare to act first, and confidence will be forged from those very stumbling steps. Do not bind yourself to the crushing demand of perfection right at the starting line. Grant yourself permission to be awkward when learning something new, to be clumsy when carving your own trail. You do not need to become extraordinary overnight. You only need the courage to surpass who you were yesterday. Even if your first step beyond familiarity wavers with tremor, march forward, for true growth begins precisely where comfort ends. Everything you have ever wanted is sitting on the other side of fear. George Addair. Fear is one of the most intricate and potent mechanisms of the human psyche. It needs no towering walls to hold you captive. Sometimes, a single whisper of doubt, what if I fail, is enough to paralyze a lifetime of ambition. Fear not only shields us from peril, but cruelly and quietly robs us of our deepest dreams before we ever take the first step. A profound paradox of human life is that the treasures we yearn for most often lie hidden right behind the things we fear most. Yearning for the summit, yet fearing the fall. Craving deep love, yet dreading heartbreak. Longing for reinvention, yet clinging desperately to the familiar. Countless souls falter not from a lack of talent, but because they have surrendered to psychological phantoms woven by their own minds. Look upon fear as a sentinel standing at the threshold of your promised land. That gatekeeper will relentlessly taunt, are you certain you dare to proceed? If you retreat, the gates remain barred forever. But if you muster the courage to step forward and push gently, you will realize with awe that they were never locked at all. Courage is not an absence of feeling or an immunity to fear. Courage is when the heart pounds with dread and the knees tremble in uncertainty, yet the spirit resolves to forge ahead. And then a marvel unfolds. The moment you dare look fear in the eye, its towering silhouette begins to dwindle. The treacherous mountain of your imagination turns out to be merely a slope awaiting patient feet. Life offers no ironclad guarantee that overcoming fear guarantees instant success. Yet one truth remains absolute. On the other side of fear lies a horizon of liberation, where you meet the most resolute, expansive, and profound version of yourself. Never allow the regret of never having dared to become the heaviest burden of your twilight years. Most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. We often tend to anchor our happiness to distant conditions beyond our grasp, a more prestigious title, greater wealth, or a flawless romantic bond. We promise ourselves, only when I attain that will I truly be happy. Yet once that goal is reached, the euphoria quickly evaporates, giving way to an endless cycle of new cravings. This relentless loop reveals that happiness is never the mere byproduct of accumulation, but the fruit of how we choose to engage with life. Life never grants us total control over the storms and turns of fate. Sudden defeats strike without warning. People let go and depart, and cherished plans shatter in an instant. Yet amidst the chaos of uncontrollable circumstances, we retain one sovereign privilege, the ultimate freedom to choose our response. You cannot halt a torrential downpour, but you can wholly choose whether to stand beneath it in bitter resentment or seek a shelter, savor the earthy air in quietude, and watch the clouds drift away. Happiness is not about forcing a hollow smile in the face of sorrow. It is the capacity to anchor your soul so it is not swept away by the undertow of tragedy. You may grieve, but never let sorrow become your habit. You may feel disappointed, but never surrender to despair. The human mind harbors a perilous blind spot, fixating perpetually on the missing pieces while ignoring the magnificent tapestry already before our eyes. A warm meal shared with loved ones, a healthy body able to walk, a new dawn granting yet another chance to begin anew. Such simple graces are the cherished dreams of countless souls, and their splendor shines only when the heart is still enough to see. In the end, happiness is no exclusive prize reserved for those blessed with a flawless destiny. It is an inward decision forged each day, the choice to release past wounds, to cherish existing blessings, and to smile as you take the next step. Happiness is not something to be pursued. Happiness is a choice of the soul.